Hello again, everyone. I wanted to create a quick video showing you guys how to flash an SD card image to an SD card for the purposes of Raspberry Pi. Now, I know that there's other videos on YouTube that show you this process already, but I basically wanted to show you guys how to do this specifically from Linux. And I've learned some lessons along the way as I've been using Raspberry Pis for various projects. And I wanted to incorporate all of that into this video, showing you guys how to properly flash an SD card for Raspberry Pi. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So here I am on my laptop. Now I've customized my bash prompt quite a bit, so yours will look different, but basically just open up a terminal. There's a few things that we want to check. Now what I'm going to do is insert the SD card into my computer. You might have an actual SD card slot or a USB card reader. Either way, you'll insert that into your computer, which I'll do right now. And as you can see, I just inserted a 128 gigabyte SD card. Now, most tutorials will show you how to use Etcher. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this video as well, but we just want to make sure of a couple of things. Now, personally, I use DD, so if you use DD, this is especially important. Etcher probably does this part automatically, but we just want to make sure. Now, first of all, we want to find out what device identifier our SD card was provided when we inserted it, so we could do sudo fdisk-l, and when I press enter, we'll see a list of storage devices on our machine. This is going to look different for everyone. But if we scroll through the output here, I'm going to scroll up, we are looking for something that says SD, and that's mine right here. Match the size. We want to make sure we are targeting the correct device. Now mine is /dev/SDA. Be very careful. If you use any commands against the wrong device identifier, you could actually be working with your computer's internal hard drive or maybe an important storage media. You just want to make sure you are working with the right one, especially if yours says SDA. SDA is often the first device identifier given to the first hard drive it finds. In my case, /dev/SDA is available because I am using an NVMe hard drive which uses a different naming scheme. Just be on the safe side. I know that this is mine, again, because this is the size that I'm expecting, and it says SD/MMC, so I know that this is the SD card that I want to work with. So I'll clear the screen, and this is actually not a required step, what I'm about to show you, but it is very important because I personally have experienced something like 1 out of every 5 attempts fail due to auto mount. If I run the mount command and I grep, I'll grep for SDA, which was the device identifier that I was provided for my SD card. I'll press enter. And right here we can see that it was actually automatically mounted. If I open a file manager, you can basically see that right here it actually is mounted, and that's very typical because, you know, it's Linux, it's user-friendly, it wants to automatically mount everything, I get it, but in this case that can actually work against us. Now don't do this, but if you were to unmount it by hitting the eject button, that's actually going to detach it from the bus to where we can't work with it anymore. Because this unmount icon right here is a little bit more intensive than we want. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do instead is we're going to do umount, and actually we need to do sudo umount /dev/SDA1 in my case. Now when you grep for SDA or whatever your identifier is, you might have more than one partition. You might have more than one response here. Maybe yours might include SDA2 or whatever your identifier is with a number 2 and so on. We want to repeat this for every partition that was automatically mounted. I'll press enter. Now if I clear the screen, I'm going to run the mount command again to check if SDA or anything that is related to the device identifier. Press enter. I get no output. That's what you want. Now notice if I run sudo fdisk-l again, and scroll up, we can see that it still sees the device is attached or inserted into the card reader, so we can still work with it. If we were to unmount it from the user interface itself, then it would also remove it here and we couldn't work with it anymore. So that's why we do this from the command line. And again, without doing this, it can still be successful, but every now and then I've had this fail. So that's why I want you guys to make sure that nothing is mounted before we go any further. Okay, so now what we need is some kind of image to write to it. Now I do videos on setting up RetroPie, which is a custom Linux distribution that allows you to use a Raspberry Pi and transform it into a retro gaming console. I have several videos about that. Also, Raspbian itself, which is basically the most popular distribution for use on the Raspberry Pi. You basically download an image for one or the other, or whatever it is you are trying to boot your Raspberry Pi with. And in this video, I'm going to go over to this website right here. And what I'm going to do is download Raspbian Buster Lite. Now I am at this URL right here, raspberrypi.org/downloads/Raspbian. I'll have a link in the description below that you can click on. I'll scroll down. And here is Raspbian Buster Lite. So what's the difference? The difference is basically that if you want a graphical user interface on your Raspberry Pi, then you definitely want to download one of the versions with desktop. This version here just includes the graphical user interface. This one includes the user interface with additional software that will make things easier for you. Raspbian Buster Lite includes no graphical user interface at all whatsoever. And I like this version because I set up a lot of servers. I don't need a user interface. I bet most of you will probably want the desktop and recommended software version. I'm just going to go with this one because the download is quicker. It's a smaller download size. It doesn't matter which one you go with. I'll download it. I'm going to go ahead and save it and then wait for it to finish. All right, so that is done downloading, and it took quite a while. I don't know what's going on with my internet connection, but whatever, it's done, so let's go ahead and continue. Back on my terminal, I'm going to make sure that it did download properly. Now, in my case, it downloads into the downloads directory. So the file is going to be in my downloads directory with a lowercase d. I lowercase everything. Yours might or probably has an uppercase d, and the file name is going to look like this. In my case, the Lite version is about 434 megabytes. We do want to make sure that it did download correctly, so do SHA-256 sum against the file that we downloaded, which again is this one right here. And that should give us a hash value, and we can see that it is this one right here, so we will compare that against the value on the site. So I'll bring that back. And again, I downloaded this one right here, Raspbian Buster Lite. We have the SHA-256 sum right here. It's this string of text. And as we can see, it does actually match. Now back here at the terminal, I'll clear the screen. We will need to unzip that file in order to be able to use it. So I'll do unzip, and then the file name, just like that, and then press enter. Clear the screen. So now that we have that extracted and we verified that it did download properly, we can write it to the SD card. Now there's two methods we can use to do this. Now my method is with the dd command. I'm going to show you an easier method, so this isn't for most of you, but I'm going to show you both ways. We can do sudo dd space if, which stands for input file, equals, and then the path to the file, which I'm in the downloads directory, and it's going to look like that. It's the .img file that we get after we extract it. OF, which stands for output file, equals /dev / in my case STA. Yours will likely be different. You don't include a number here, just the base of the identifier, which means we don't want to write this to a specific partition. We want to overwrite the entire disk. I'll do a block size equals 4M for 4 megabytes, semicolon, and then I will use sync to make sure that everything syncs up. Now, this is more of a expert way of doing things. I'm going to show you an easy way. I actually just wanted to show you this so you will know both methods. This isn't what I recommend for most people, because if you use the dd command against the wrong output file, again, mine is /dev/sda, and yours will be different. If you run this against your internal hard drive, for example, you just blew away your entire operating system and all of your files. If you have another storage device attached, you could blow that away as well. Now, I prefer this method because the dd command basically comes with pretty much every Linux distribution. You don't have to download anything, install anything. You have this capability out of the box. But this is just something that I use as a veteran, and you can use whatever you would like. But I am going to show you Etcher. So I'm going to bring back the internet browser here, and we are going to go to etcher.io. And this will work regardless of what operating system you use. It'll detect what operating system you are running. It detects that I'm running Linux here. If you're running something else for some reason, it'll show that. You basically go ahead and click on this link right here to download it. It's going to be a zip file again, so I'll go ahead and save it. Wait for that to finish. It should go fairly quickly. And we can see that it is downloaded here. So I'll go ahead and close this browser. I shouldn't need it anymore. And I'll clear the screen here as well. We'll get back to the video in just a moment, but I wanted to take a minute to mention my sponsor and cloud infrastructure provider, Linode. Linode provides virtual servers that make it easy and affordable to host your own app, site, or project in the cloud. Whether you're a Linux power user or just a beginner, you can use Linode. You can start from scratch and fully customize your server for any application, or use Linode's one-click apps to deploy game servers, WordPress sites, personal VPNs, and much more. You can even upload and run your own image. Linode comes with amazing 100% human 24/7 customer support by phone or support ticket, along with hundreds of docs and guides to help you get started. Sign up to get $20 free on your new Linode account with the code LearnLinux19 or by signing up with the link in the description. I really appreciate Linode's sponsorship of my channel. They're awesome. Definitely check them out. Now, let's get back to the video. And the file name will look something like this. In my case, about 91 megabytes. It's the Balena something Etcher, and it is an Electron app. It's beyond the scope of the video to explain what exactly that means, but basically what it is we downloaded an actual application. We need to unzip it though, so I'll go ahead and take care of that. And it is an app image, which is actually really great because we don't actually have to install it. So if I list the storage on it, we can see that it is an executable. It is an app image, which is a universal application that doesn't need any dependencies to be installed. It should just work. And to actually launch it, we can do // the name of the file. I'll press enter. And here it's going to allow us to select the image. We will select the image that we extracted earlier, the IMG file. I have a bunch of junk here in my downloads, but basically it's this one right here, the Raspbian Buster Lite.img. That's the one we want. I'll click open. We select the target disk and make sure you select the correct one. And it's already selected because it's the only one that I have. So I'll click continue and then I'll click flash. Now here it's giving me a warning. It's telling me that this is unusually large for an SD card. Well, it's a 128 gig SD card. It's not that unordinary, but they just want to make sure you aren't running this against something you shouldn't be. This is correct in my case. It is in fact a large SD card. I'll click continue. And I have to type the password. This is my user password in this case. It may ask for root password if you are using a different distro, but I'll type that in right now. Enter. It's starting, and it shows that it's flashing. And it's done. And it also makes sure that it's not mounted, so we should be good to go. We should be able to remove it from our computer, insert it into a Raspberry Pi and boot it. But there are a couple of things that you might want to consider doing before we do that. I'll show you. I'll go ahead and close this right here. Clear the screen. And since it's unmounted, I will eject it. Then I'll put the SD card back into the computer again. And it did mount it, so what I'll do is change directory. In most distributions, it should be something like media username. I'll go in there, and we have two directories right here because we have two partitions essentially. We want to go into the boot directory, and this is optional. Now, if I list the storage, there is no SSH file here. That's normal. There shouldn't be. But if we create it by doing touch SSH, the touch command basically creates a file if it's not already present. And if this file is present, then what it will do is trigger Raspbian to enable the SSH service at boot. SSH allows you to remotely manage your Raspberry Pi. Basically, it's not specific to Raspberry Pi, but it will let you connect remotely and run commands. I think a decent number of people probably want this, so I'll press enter. And now we have that file. If I do ls, we can see it right here. It says SSH. It is 0. That's what we want. When it boots, it'll remove that file and enable SSH. Again, optional, but a lot of people will probably want that. Now, one more thing. Another file that we might want to create is this one. I do nano wpa underscore supplicant.conf. This file also does not exist. I'll press enter. I have an empty text editor window right here, and we need to paste some contents into this file, which I will do right now. All right, so I went ahead and pasted in the information here. We do have to set the country code. If yours is different than US, you might have to look that up. There's a bunch of them out there, but we do have to set that. So you may have to change that. Now down here where it says SSID in lowercase, inside the quotation marks, you're going to want to remove whatever is in there and type whatever your Wi-Fi SSID happens to be. Then here for the PSK, you basically just remove everything here and type your password for your Wi-Fi connection. This will ensure that when you start up your Raspberry Pi, it will automatically connect to your wireless network. And if you enable SSH, you will also be able to SSH into it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save the file, Control-O, enter, Control-X to exit out. And then we want to make sure that it's not mounted. Now, first of all, we need to get out of the directory if we are in any of those directories that are associated with the SD card. So get out of that one, do mount, grep for SDA or whatever your device identifier is. You can check fdisk-L with sudo if you forget or if it changes. You should see at least something mounted here. I have two partitions mounted because Raspbian does actually have two partitions. So what we're going to want to do is sudo umount dev sda1, enter, up arrow, change it to 2. Again, whatever your identifier is, press enter. And if you do the same thing, do the mount command and grep for your device identifier, it should return nothing. We know now that the SD card is not mounted. Okay, so we should be good to go. I'm going to eject the SD card, which we just unmounted. Here it is in its little caddy or card reader, basically. So I could take this out, this little mini SD card or micro SD, put this in a Raspberry Pi and boot it up. It should automatically connect to wireless, enable SSH. I should be able to reach it. And then from there, I should be good to go to do whatever it is I wanted to do to create a Raspberry Pi in the first place, whatever that project happens to be. Raspberry Pi is an awesome platform. Let me know if you guys like these kinds of videos. And if you do, I will do more of these. So let me know in the comments below if this is something you would like to see more of. In either case, click the like button if you haven't already done so, subscribe, and I will see you guys again real soon. Thanks for checking out my video. I really appreciate it. If you found it useful, click that like button, and if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe so you'll see the latest content as soon as it becomes available. If you want to help me out, there's links down below for my Patreon page, as well as links for purchasing my Linux books, and also my affiliate store, which has a listing of Linux-compatible hardware that I've actually tested personally. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.